fine.
That again.
There you go. I will call this meeting to order. Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. First item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda items. Robin, anything of note there?
Yeah, just a few things. This is our annual meeting, one of the things we do is approve the board meeting dates through next April. So I just want you to check and make sure there aren't any like religious holidays that I am overlooking or anything like that. I just went straight down and did the Tuesdays of the months we meet, but if there was something, I try to look up the Jewish holidays and things like that, but sometimes I miss. So if you know of anything that is a conflict, let me know.
I mean, when Bruce Springsteen's playing the city, it should be a religious holiday, but officially I don't think it is. So.
Yeah, a B105, look at that.
I mean, I have no idea. Does this work for everybody? Does anybody see anything concerning?
Oh, here we go. Let's see.
Yeah, this is on page 11 of your packet.
Yeah. Not off the top of my head.
If nobody sees anything, I'm fine with it.
Okay, the other thing is the draw, collective architectural services proposal, which has been reviewed by like absolutely everybody I know practically.
A lawyer.
Yeah, Phil Weiss has
Phil
reviewed
did?
it, Dan
Okay.
Diceroff has reviewed it, Rodney has reviewed it,
Okay.
Keith has reviewed it.
Yeah.
So it's been looked at by like pretty much everyone that has anything to do with this project over the municipality, and they're all fine with it. Phil Weiss had we went back and forth with some of the language, but
He's not a fan of AI documents. I am.
He was happy with the final version here, so.
It doesn't matter that there's like no numbers
There are on page,
in a signed contract. It's blank.
page 17 has the proposed fees and costs, which we've agreed to, and
Yeah.
then the hourly rate schedule on page 19.
But the actual signed contract doesn't.
You meant to tell me the document
No.
was drafted by the American Institute of
We'll be,
maybe figure.
we agreed to, well, I think the signed contract says something about agreeing to the proposal.
Okay.
The architect's proposal to the owner has been attached and forms part of this agreement.
Okay.
A summary of hourly rates has been included. So we pay, they kind of charge as they go,
Okay.
and we'll pay, we've agreed to pay us basically up to this month.
It says it expires in June, so their work is done by then, or?
This part of it is,
Okay,
they have to have it done so that it can go out to bid, so that we can get the work started in August.
okay.
So things are gonna start to move quickly, believe it or not. I know this is 2 years we've been working on just the ideas behind this, but we're finally gonna start to see some progress. That's pretty much it. You know, we're early in the year yet, so we haven't been able to do too much damage to the budget. Everything's pretty much on track for this time of year.
Does anybody have any questions about anything? Robin?
You see, we have a nice healthy balance in our gift fund, and a lot of that's unencumbered or, you know, untapped for any specific use, so we can use that towards the project as needed.
Nice.
I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda today.
I approve.
Holiday motions, I'll take a second. Keith seconds, all in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved. Comments from observers, I see none in the room. Are there any online?
No,
Comments from the Friends of the Library. I will turn the floor over to Susan.
Thank you. So the Friends, are working on the planned sale. The actual day of sale is the 9th of May. Pre-sale is going on now until the end of April. So if you're a pre-sale person. go
I did
on.
have a couple of questions about the herbs. People aren't finding the herbs online.
They're not online.
Okay, they're only gonna be available day of.
They're gonna be
I just wanted to
available
make sure
day
to
of
tell them
sale.
that.
And that just comes from the history of purchasing herbs. We're gonna be getting the herbs for day of sale only. And I don't know how much detail anybody here really cares about, but we're still using Barch Farms for the bulk of everything. Because of pricing, we're not using Barch Farms for hanging baskets. We could not add anything to what they're asking us to pay where we would make any kind of a profit. So, I have always loved Box Market down in the Strip District. I've known them for probably half 100 years. And so I still go there for my own personal stuff, anything I don't get here. So,
Is that the one next to Penmac?
pardon?
Is that the one next to
Near,
Penmac?
well, it's on up a little, it's, right around 27,
Oh,
smaller
okay.
than
So
27.
if you're further up.
But, yes, they will sell us beautiful, beautiful, beautiful hanging baskets. And you don't have to give up an arm or a leg, so, and we'll be able to make a profit. So that's how we factor that in. Herbs, we'll be getting our herbs from Bob's also because they're bigger. And I mean, they just fill out the pot better and, they will come home, anybody's home, and they will actually grow. And with Barch, we've had a lot of really good luck, but I could not, there were just a couple things that didn't measure up to my back porch standards, so, and price, mostly it's pricing. So Barch will deliver, we have a friend who has a truck who will go down and get whatever we need on Saturday for the herbs and the hanging baskets. Pre-sale is a great way to go. You don't have to, we don't have to worry about it because the money's in. You don't have to worry about it because you've taken care of it, all you have to do is pick it up. We also, though, because we're gonna be here, letting people pick up their plants, we also sell plants the day of the sale. And, we have to decide how many to order. Last year, I think we ordered 93 additionally. We're probably gonna order 100 to 110 additionally. And it'll be absolutely everything that we're offering on the pre-sale plus the herbs and the hanging baskets. The sale starts at 10 o'clock. It's over at 1, and last year we sold the last hanging basket at 1, and we had just a few extras that we sold some. We gave a flat or two to the library for the gardens outside.
Sure, yeah.
But,
Nice.
you know, our main mission is to fundraise. I have no idea what that total is gonna look like. Looking at what we're seeing now, you can't equate last year to the, you just don't know. But I'm enthusiastic about it, and people are saying, can we do this, can we do that? So I'm thinking there's some enthusiasm out there. The second thing we're going to do this year, soon, actually in July, the community is having the community biggest garage sale.
Mhm.
And it's pretty much the same as they've done in years past, but a little bit different. We will be wanting to have a tent outside with a table.
Oh, nice, nice.
And we have so much that we can unload.
That's in June, right?
Yeah, we're gonna, it'll be,
June or
it'll
July?
be books, it'll be
July?
puzzles, it'll be, we have a
See, I have it in
huge
July.
amount of movies and books on tape. and
July
CDs
18th.
And all that sort of thing, so, and right now, we're selling those, the ones out here are like $1 or $2, but the ones out by the desk are, you can buy a whole bag for $5, so if you're looking for something like that, but we will have that sort of thing outside too. And,
That'll be a big
we
hit.
have, I think it will, but we also sell bottles. I think people know we sell bottles. So bottles are something you can hold in your hand. Many times people will donate things that are bigger than that. And we say, don't do that because we don't have any space. So we have a few of those items that are going to go, if we don't get rid of them sooner, they're gonna go right out there. So it won't just be books and stuff like that. It'll be
Treasures.
Right, treasures, baubles, things like that. So That's brand new. I'm looking forward to doing it. We're open anyways, so why not? And I believe that's July the 18th. Also on July the 18th is the small bookshop book crawl. or
Oh, is
bookshop
that the same
crawl.
day?
Huh?
That's the same day?
Yes.
How convenient.
Well, that's what I thought. Some people look at me and think, you must be crazy. And I think, well, they're not gonna interfere. People who come to the book crawl, they come in, they get their little passport stamp. They buy a book hopefully, or two or three, or at least look around.
Yeah.
And the other things will just be happening outside. So I see it going well.
Yeah.
The book crawl starts on the 18th and goes to the following Sunday. The bookshop will be open both of those Sundays. And I think that might be all. Anybody want to know anything specific about it? Okay, good.
Thank you, Susan. And we will turn it over to our commission liaison. Anything else?
All sorts of news for you guys today. I mean, so first of all, vape shop updates. For all of you that follow social media, you might know that there was a lease signed for a storefront on Washington Road by a gentleman who wanted to open a vape shop. And to put it mildly, the community went insane. I received over 300 emails, and yes, I did answer every single one. Objecting to the vape shop. It kind of showed, I have to say, how people don't really understand how zoning works and don't understand that we don't approve what goes on Washer Road. That's not capitalism. We are hands off. That's not our role. But nevertheless, the way we do control where things go is through zoning. But the first thing to understand about zoning is you cannot, under Pennsylvania state law, deny any use in your town. I cannot categorically say in zoning, no vape shops. Doesn't work that way. We have to allow them someplace. So we are in the process of updating our zoning code. It had not been updated for over 20 years. Things had been added here and there, but no massive updates. So there wasn't anything controlling vape shops in it. So tonight at the planning board meeting, they have introduced an ordinance that will be tacked on to the zoning code we have now, limiting vape shops, first of all, defining them as to what they are, and then limiting them to C2 zoning districts, which are highways like Cocker Road. And there will be restrictions in them as to how close they can go to schools, how close they can go to houses of worship, parks, how close they can be together, all of those things. They will be dealt with again once we finish doing the zoning code update. Now, the good news is because of the outcry, the landlord somehow worked something out with the gentleman who wanted to put in the vape shop, and the vape shop is not going in. That lease has been canceled. And I have it on good authority that there is a new retail use going in that is just fabulous, but I can't tell you what it is yet because it hasn't been finalized. So it's sorted, as we like to say. Once we will get the new ordinance from planning at our next commission meeting. We'll have a public hearing on it, which again is law and process and things we have to do. And we will probably, I'm assuming, pass it at the following commission meeting. Okay? Any questions about vape shops? I know all about them now. And then in fabulous news, it is true, Wegmans is going into the Galleria.
don't believe that.
It's actually happening.
It is happening.
Oh, wow.
How incredible is that?
There's quite
Large,
large.
I couldn't tell you anything about what it's gonna look like or anything else. All I know is that they came to the municipality, I don't know, a couple of months ago to talk about the possibilities of locating and that they were trying to negotiate a deal, et cetera. My understanding is, and this could be wrong, that they bought the Galleria outright. That's what I understand it to be, and that, you know, the process will be, they have to bring their plans to us for approval, and all of those things. And I don't know how long that'll take or what they're planning to do other than put in a Wegmans. I couldn't be happier.
I had just read today that there was talk of it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
see it final as well.
Yep.
It's great.
Mhm.
It's about
I'm
time-
shocked.
It's about time to,
Do they plan to take over the entire?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's huge, so it's
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
hard
so
to,
Wegmans though.
I know, it's hard to imagine. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of empty space. I
Yeah.
shouldn't even talk, I know. There's a lot of empty spaces in the
Mhm.
Galleria, so I can see it making really good sense.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Now, the other rumor I heard, and this was just sheer rumor, was that the Shapiro family and the Wegman family always had an agreement to stay out of each other's backyards, but when Giant Eagle reorganized, Wegmans said that's the end of the agreement and that's why they're coming in. This is all rumor, unsubstantiated. I don't have any idea if that's true, but you know, who doesn't love a good story? Yeah.
maybe I'll be inspired to get that.
I mean, there are half a dozen large grocery stores there within
Yeah.
a mile or two of each other, so
Yeah.
what's one more?
Well, Wegmans is great food porn, trust me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just the best.
I wrote them, begging them, please come to Pittsburgh.
Oh,
They're like, no, we can't because of Giant Eagle.
Oh,
I never understood that. They'll blow them out of the water.
I know they will.
Like quality wise, like. it's
The
not- it's
quality
not
is
close.
Right, I
Incredible.
mean, and that fresh market is probably,
Mhm.
would have to close, I mean,
I don't know.
That's
I
not-
don't know.
I like fresh
Yeah, I
mangoes.
agree with you.
I like the
I
Christmas
take one.
displays.
I like taking.
I
my
like
phone
Fresh
out.
Walker shortbreads and.
Yeah. There you
Fascinating.
go.
Is that public knowledge? Just to quell
I
all
think
the
it-
stuff
it-
that's
it-
going
it-
on.
Well, it's about to be.
Okay.
It broke out on,
Yeah,
it broke out over the weekend on Facebook and I read it.
yeah.
And Keith had said to me, Keith McGill, a couple months ago, he said, you know, I'm working on something big, but I can't tell you anything. So just stay tuned. If it happens, it'll be really good for Mount Lebanon. And when I saw that, I thought, I wonder if that's what he's talking about. And not 30 minutes later, I had an email in my inbox on Saturday from Keith saying.
That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
There was a article on the, for Business Times.
Yeah.
About, but it wasn't like 100% confirmed. It was just like, hey, there's talk of this and this is what they're trying to plan to do.
Mhm.
And I had heard a lot of different places for Wegmans, like,
Mhm.
and I was thinking maybe down in South Fayette by the
Mhm.
Tesla dealership, the PJ's down there, was a lot of raw land that I thought
Mhm.
they were pushing for.
Is there a timeline?
No, I don't know any timeline, nothing, sorry. But very excited. And that's it. I can't think of anything else more positive to share or, well, we have a planning session this Saturday. I mentioned briefly, it's not, we don't do this annually, we probably do it every other year because we bring in staff on a Saturday. And we'll be reviewing everything that every department does and looking at, sort of what's happening out in the world, what we can expect in terms of changes, places we need to put extra resources, all those kind of good and fun things.
I will warn you all, just in case any rumors that go around. There was one of the panels in the template we were given for our presentation was like kind of sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Future ideas, what would you do if you had just
Right.
limited list, money and
Right.
resources? And the things I said had to do with service at Beverly Road,
Mhm.
either one of those enormous library vending machines with browsable collection, pick up holds, you know, all that kind of thing. Or a reading room that can be largely unstaffed, because Biblioteca has a new service called Open Plus. And it's like those grocery stores where you can go in and buy stuff and then they just check you out on your way out the door. It would be like that, where you just check in to
Cool.
the
Yeah.
reading room and you can get access with your library card, use the space and then leave. So those were just some big picture, pie in the sky kind of ideas I threw out there. Also, a friend of mine thinks it would be a really good idea, and he does have some architecture in his background, that we take over the parking lot closest to the library and expand the library that way, since we can't go up and we can't go in any other direction.
We can't go.
Take over the parking lot behind us?
He said it would be it would be, we could go over the parking lot.
Well, you'd have to,
Yeah.
otherwise have to excavate the parking lot. Yeah, you could.
So, anyway, just threw those ideas out there. I don't expect any of them to happen in
No,
any of our
No,
lifetimes,
no, yeah.
but just wanted to
No,
think about.
no municipality buys the dentist, renovates it, gives it to the library.
No.
I don't see
She
that
said pie in the
happening.
sky, Anna.
Hey, I mean, I can add it to the list.
Regarding the vape shop thing.
Yeah.
Can you clarify a little bit, because you kind of started out saying the municipality can't dictate what types of businesses go in a commercial zone. And then you pivoted to, but actually we can change the zoning to dictate what kind of businesses go in a commercial zone. So is that a sneaky workaround, or is
No,
that,
no,
what is
it's not.
happening here?
It's
It sounded
really-
contradictory.
Go ahead, Pete. You can say it.
You can't change it in such a way that it creates a de facto exclusion. Like, you can't be like, hey, like, you have to build a Taj Mahal palace to, you can only build on this one lot, and we're gonna rezone one lot in the corner of the municipality, so there's an art to it, so you don't want to get challenged.
Right. But you,
But yeah,
yeah,
you can
and
make
we have
restrictions.
certain things that we have restricted. Now, for example, a liquor store. Now, we don't have to have a liquor store, right in Mount Lebanon. But liquor stores are typically restricted from being any closer than 500 feet to schools.
And there are also some,
Right.
by state law, you can restrict.
Yeah.
Like.
Medical marijuana,
Marijuana's a
porno,
separate section,
yeah,
Obviously,
vape shops, yeah.
Strip clubs.
yeah, strip clubs, those things. So sort of nuisance use.
I also assume the one existing vape shop would be grandfathered in, should that
Oh, yeah,
pass?
it is, yeah, you're always grandfathered in, you can't change.
And I mean, if they weren't making money, they wouldn't stay, so somebody's
Well,
using
that's
it.
it.
yeah.
I mean, and then, like I said, people think that the governing body has a veto when these businesses come in.
We don't.
That's not the case.
No,
How long would it likely take to get those commercial zoning changes or business zoning changes like done and approved? Like how quick can the
Well,
turnaround for
the
that?
one that we're turning around for the vape shop,
Yeah,
it should be by the end of May. You'll see that it's in the zoning code, so it will restrict anybody else from coming in at that point.
You only need one public hearing for that.
Yes, one public hearing, but, yeah,
okay.
Zoning ordinances usually take a little more time than like a traditional ordinance.
zoning ordinances are, because they really talk about not just where you want things now, but you need to try to envision, which who has this crystal ball? What's the world gonna look like in 10 years from now? I mean, whoever knew, for example, COVID would happen, and all of a sudden, most people would take food out instead of eating in. Whoever envisioned that? We certainly didn't, and we didn't build our roads to accommodate that. For all of you who complain about the guys pulling over. But that's the challenge in zoning, is to try to not just figure out what it is you want right now, but what is it you think the town needs and would be best for the town in 10 years? It's really not very easy. I can tell you after spending hours looking at it. It's pretty complicated. And since it's a code, it's very onerous to try to get an exception to the code. If you need a variance, you have to meet 5 different qualifications, and they're not easy to make. It's not a qualification of, well, I need to make money, and I can't make money unless I'm allowed to do this, that, or the other. Nah, sorry. So,
You actually have to show hardship.
yeah, you have to show hardship for a variance, but hardship is not making money.
Any other questions for Ann? Thank you, Ann. Move on to the president's report, where we have a couple of different things. First thing is approving our 2026-2027 officers. I believe those were put forward last meeting, is that correct? Holiday and Mara, were you guys on that? So who was in charge of that
I wasn't
subcommittee?
at the meeting. I mean,
No, it wasn't.
I thought it was put forward.
I believe it
It's been
was.
put
I put it in the
forward.
minutes.
A couple of months now.
Yeah, as far as I know,
Yeah, it should be in the
I put them in the
minutes.
minutes,
Yeah.
because that was in the.
Right.
as far as I know, it's just put forward that officers are remaining the
We vote in the annual meeting, which is why we're talking about it now.
same. So that's,
Like who's that?
yeah, it's, as far as I know, I mean, we'll see when the votes come in, Pete, but yeah, so as far, so what has been put forward is, this is for the next 12 months, me for president, Anthony for vice president, Holiday for secretary, and Pete as treasurer. We'll be making no changes for the next 12 months. If I could have a motion to approve those officers for the 2026-27 year.
Moved.
Mara has moved,
Second.
Suzanne has seconded, Holiday has thirded. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays. Your co-efficient.
Congratulations.
Maybe next time.
Appoint 2026-2027 committee meetings, which is now officially largely up to me. We have no new board members this year, so as far as governance, fundraising, and I was written name financial,
I guess
Fiscal,
finance,
um,
it's you and Pete and me.
it would be my preference that none of those change unless someone has a strong objection.
And this is correct on here, on the minutes?
Finance is correct, governance is correct, and fundraising is correct.
And you were going to clarify the
Yeah,
ad hoc
we're
committee?
gonna talk about that.
Okay,
I do not believe we have to vote on subcommittee membership, but I
No,
think
you don't.
everybody's happy with that. Regarding the ad hoc strategic plan subcommittee, I reached out to, how do I pronounce her name?
Sherry.
Sherry Mosier. She's a Friends of the Library board member, and she's on board for being a part of this ad hoc committee. And Anthony and Suzanne were our two board members who wanted to serve. So as far as I'm concerned, those will be the three members of our strategic
Awesome.
plan. Has there been any communication on your front to them yet?
no, I was waiting for this all to be confirmed, but
Okay.
honestly, I just haven't had
I
time, which is
told-
why I wanted the committee, so that you can all keep me.
Sherry asked me what was next, and I just told her, hang tight, that either you or someone
Yes,
from that
I
committee
will
who's a board member would
absolutely
be
do
reaching out
that.
to
We'll
her.
have a kind of a formative meeting and figure out who's gonna be in charge of nagging me the most and that kind of thing.
And obviously, thanks to Suzanne and Anthony for volunteering to
Yes.
take on more
Yes.
work and
I
serve
look
that
forward to it.
community for us.
Mhm.
It's appreciated. So I'm trying to see.
We
if
need
Dan's
one
over
more
there.
board member.
Not necessarily,
No, unless,
unless someone wants to.
yeah, I mean, we can do one without breaking sunshine laws, so if someone
Yes.
wants to do it, they're more than welcome.
It's, we'll be bringing in staff members as needed for various parts of the strategic plan, maybe people from other departments, things like that. If we have to talk about the building or something, then maybe we talk to Philip Bolio from Public Works, stuff like that. Or we bring in some of the gardening volunteers, or, we'll talk to people as we need, as we're going through the plan.
I would just say if any other, that subcommittee can take one more board member, so if anybody's interested, please let Robin know. But for the moment, Anthony, or wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, Anthony, Suzanne, Sherry all signed off on. Okay.
And this is something that I don't want to take too long. I'm thinking 6 months, maybe. If we have it done by the end of the year, I'll be thrilled. Something that we can, share with Keith and the commission at the end of the year would make me happy.
Finally, it looks like we have to approve the 2025 annual report. This is supposed to happen, the president's report. This is in your section, Robin?
That's where it was last year.
Okay, fair enough.
So, I just
This is all Robin, though. We all should have copies. There were copies over there.
Yeah,
Anything you should point out
it's
in
in
there?
the Venda. Look at it anytime. I didn't want to put it in the actual board packet because it just gets really clunky trying to print it out, because it adds like 30 pages or whatever. Yeah, I've read it and reread it. We've proofread it like 18 times. There will be mistakes, but some people really like to find mistakes. So, there's something for everyone.
Those people.
Like to find mistakes. I love it.
Trust me, there are. Yeah, it was a
Some
fun
of us
one to put
can't
together.
help it, okay? That's just how some of us are wired.
It's almost like a puzzle, I think, for some people. But anyway, this was a fun one to put together because we were able to talk about the book sanctuary and the library of the year. And it was just, our stats went up, like, it was just a golden year for us. It was really wonderful. So I hope you enjoy it. And,
It looks good to me at a glance. I'm definitely gonna read it cover to cover. It looks like we have to vote to approve. Is that correct?
yes.
I would accept a motion on that. Pete
I'll
moves.
make that motion.
Pete beat you to it, but you can second, Anthony.
Fine, this time. Hey, before we vote, kudos to Robin and team. I mean, this was um, knowing Robin, she's like, this was a great year, but this was a great year. And,
Was.
it is a testament to the work that she and that group do every day. So, kudos to one and all. Really high bar to set for next year, but give it a shot, see what you come up with, right? So, but no,
Yes.
all seriousness, a great year, and Robin, a tip of the hat to you, and savor the moment.
Thank you very much. I also would like to point out, to shout out to the staff that worked most on that, especially M.A. Jackson, who designed and put together the whole thing and got everyone else's input. Pretty much all of, a lot of the librarians had to write different sections and that kind of thing, but M.A. did the bulk of putting it together and designing it and getting the pictures and all that kind of thing. Marina put together the donors list at the end, and Jeremy not only puts it online for us, but makes sure we have an ADA accessible version to put online as well, and creates highlights for our website.
I'm in this report with my sling on, so I'm rethinking my vote here. Bad memories.
Treasure dedication.
Yeah. All right, everyone in favor of approving the annual report, say aye. Aye, any
Aye.
nays? Okay, approved unanimously. We'll move on to Robin and her director's report.
Okay, it's not very long because I've had as good as my year was last year, this past week has been about equally as bad in the opposite direction. I'll tell you all about it later, not worthy of public comment, but, yeah, so first I would like to thank you all for contributing to the staff luncheon. I appreciate so much, and the staff appreciates that you every year contribute to putting together a nice lunch for them. Everyone raved about the food. It was really nice to see so many of you attend and talk to my staff and get to know them. So I just really appreciate that so much. We will be having our volunteer reception this Friday after hours upstairs in the library. You all should have received invites. I also invited you personally myself a couple of times to make sure that you knew about it. So I hope to see you all at that. And next week is the municipal volunteer reception. I won't be in attendance. I have family coming in, but Jeremy's going to represent the library, so you'll see him there. And this week, being National Library Week, we have a lot of special events going on. One of which is the film, The Librarians, which has won multiple awards. It's being shown in conjunction with WQED on the 23rd, which is Thursday at 1 p.m. So if you can stop by and check that out, that would be great. And on May 1st, this is another after hours event. That's next Friday, May 1st. We have Pulitzer Prize winning author Jane Ann Phillips coming to the library. She'll be here at 7 o'clock. She won the Pulitzer for something called Night Watch, and she's here to talk about her new biography, Small Town Girls. So there's no charge for that, just come. I think it says on our website that it's waitlisted, but as you all are board members, nobody's going to kick you out.
Turn us away.
Yes, exactly. The other thing to note is May 5th through the 7th, I will be in Harrisburg for the Pennsylvania Library Association's Academy for Leadership Studies. I'm on the committee for that, helping put that together. So I'll be away for a couple of days. And I think that's all I have.
I think I'm attending the municipal volunteer dinner for the first time ever. So please warn Jeremy that I'm probably gonna glom on that.
I think there's assigned seating, and I think they mix everybody up.
We'll see
So,
if that.
I mean, you're not exactly shy, so I don't think
Yeah,
you need to worry about it.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
You'll know plenty of people in the room. I mean, you've
Okay.
been on community relations board as well as
Yeah,
all
you've
boards.
been on all sorts of stuff.
I'm around.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Robin? Thank you, Robin. On to committee reports. Fundraising's up first. Any updates, Anthony?
Marina.
Besides still a harumph because we're not going to do the typical garden tour this year. I did, as promised, send out a note to our volunteers to let them know the couple of responses that I got were, hey, I'm still, still count me in if you return to normal, so to speak, next year. So that felt good, if for no other reason than to know that everybody understood the circumstances behind why the decision was made. Otherwise, nothing else of an immediate concern or issue to bring up, unless there's something that I'm forgetting.
No, Marina just wanted me to let you know that she and Jeremy are working now to get the virtual garden tour
Mhm.
set up in place. Marina and MA just thought, oh, everybody can email MA their pictures and it'll be great. And Jeremy was
Oh,
like,
no.
absolutely not. That is not how we do this. We have security protocols. So they're working on getting together a Dropbox for folks to submit their photos in a safe and, usable format. So they're working on it. It will all be ready in time. We've also received several ads already,
Wow.
including one of our normal full page ad buyers paid the normal $400 rather than the flat
Nice.
$150 fee
Nice.
that we
Nice.
asked everyone this year. So we're still getting some support from the community, as we always do, because we're very, very fortunate to live here. So things are going as well as can be expected, and we're going to be doing the raffle baskets and all that kind of fun stuff, and we'll have more information about that at the May meeting.
So Marina and I spoke, the day of the staff appreciation lunch. And she said, first, two things, that I had asked her what happened with the people who had volunteered to be in the garden tour, but obviously we're not having a garden tour. And she said, well, thankfully, they both said they would, when we do have a garden tour, they will be in the garden tour. So they're still in the mix. But we also did talk about the raffle baskets, and she said, oh, the board could help in this garden, basket that I'm working on here. And I said, well, I'll help with the garden basket, but the board's gonna do the rest. So Holiday and I have been brainstorming about some ideas for either doing something similar to what we did last year, but we are trying to come up with a new idea, and I have thought about some more. So we're gonna go back and forth and come up with something, and then tell you all, hey, guess what we're doing?
Sounds great.
Best way to do it.
Yeah, so we'll get back.
Any other questions for Anthony? Thank you, Anthony.
Yep.
Governance committee. Governance committee did meet this month and did some work on our policies. The big one remains the lending policy. We do not have a draft to show you. We basically decided to rip up the old lending policy and rewrite it almost from scratch. We are in the process of working on that now. Because we are potentially controversially changing the system with the library cards, which what residents get, what non-residents get. We did want to take a sort of an official vote just to make sure that it's on the public record, that the full board is on board with what we're thinking. So what we would like to vote on, hold on 1 second.
Would also like to add, while he's looking up which I have right here if you need it.
Nah, you're good.
The Allegheny County Library Association has been working on a general out-of-state card that folks can get. This is especially for out-of-state residents, and it's a $60 fee for 2 years. And all of that $60 goes towards the county e-resources budget.
Good.
So that will take some of the pressure off the individual libraries giving out-of-state cards. We'll still get folks that want ours because we offer things that are special to our card holders.
So there are two components to this. The first component is we've come up with some language that will exist somewhere in the policy that says library services may be limited to patrons who are resident of Mount Lebanon, also known as home library patrons. Staff will determine the need for limiting specific services based on cost, staff time, and other factors as needed. So that would be some text that goes in the lending policy. In addition, we are restructuring the lending policy so it specifically breaks down. This is the lending policy for Mount Lebanon residents. This is what applies to Allegheny County residents, but non-Mount Lebanon residents, Pennsylvania residents, non-Pennsylvania residents, and then temporary short-term card holders. These are like a 3-month card holder application, like college kids or whatever can get. It'll be broken down specifically, here's what you're entitled to, depending on which of these 5 sections you fit.
It sounds like with the first part of the policy, the staff can make that determination. You don't have to be bringing that back to the board every single time there might be a change.
No, I wanted the staff to have the ability to determine which services are available, because it's not just limited to e-resources, although that's the main thing because of the cost. But for example, we offer homebound delivery services to some of our seniors in Mount Lebanon.
yeah.
But if there's someone in Scott Township that's like, I use your library every day and I want you to start delivering to my home, we want to be able to say, we don't have the staff for that, we don't have the resources for that. We can really only do that for certain patrons in our service area and things like that. So it's not
Sure.
really limited to e-resources, and it's so dependent on what we're offering and what's available and what we can do for people.
Well, that makes the most sense for.
It's the same idea, but looking ahead.
Yeah.
You guys to be able to make that determination, that makes the most sense, so I agree.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's best to make the determination too.
Absolutely.
Can you read that again?
I absolutely can.
Here, I'll give you a print version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's even-
Even better.
I'm gonna read it anyway.
Please.
Give my-
This is for college
Give it
residents.
some- yeah.
Library services may be limited, and, this could always be slightly adjusted in the final version, but in general, library services may be limited to patrons who are residents of Mount Lebanon, also known as home library patrons. Staff will determine the need for limiting specific services based on cost, staff time, and other factors as needed. And again, this will all be organized. The policy will lay out exactly what you're entitled to, depending on what type of card you have and where you live.
So in the policy, the staff is gonna decide if, for Mount Lebanon residents, Allegheny County residents, but not Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania residents, not Allegheny County,
Yeah,
non-Pennsylvania and temporary.
and some of this is determined by what type of card you have, because
Okay.
depending on where you live, you're gonna
Right.
physically get a different card, and some of that's not gonna get you Canopy or some of these things. we were talking
But
about.
that's what the staff's gonna determine though. They're not gonna know what card you get, but they're gonna determine the services for the card.
So it really comes down to this home library location, which is basically a field on our operating system. So when your home library is Mount Lebanon, like for example, Kristen has a card from Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh, but her home library is Mount Lebanon because she lives here. Then you're entitled to, you're able to access certain things that we are keeping specifically for Mount Lebanon residents due to the way our funding structure is.
And again, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but when we first started going down this process, we thought we were gonna have to come up with a system for keeping track of all the stuff ourselves, but it turns out with this home library system, it's largely going to be done for us.
We thought
It's actually
that-
gonna make it easier.
We thought that, or Canopy used to be so that they were determined by the beginning part of the library barcode, which is how all the different libraries determine,
Mhm.
like 21932, that's Mount Lebanon. So, we thought that you would have to have that card that starts with those numbers to use these services, and a lot of people from outside of Mount Lebanon have the card. With being able to use the home library determination now, we don't have to worry about what card we have, it just really matters where you live.
Got it. And so you're saying it's not up to us because all that's gonna be coded in.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Although I can't say like the examples she gave, there may be a couple things where it comes down to the determination of the staff, even still, right?
Right, but for
Yeah.
the most part, I mean, it's going to be, we can offer these services to people that live in Mount Lebanon, we can offer these services to everyone else is basically how it's gonna be. And we're trying not to limit things. Like, the goal is to have as many resources as possible for as long as possible, to as many people as we can, but we all recognize that some of the things we offer, like Canopy, are unsustainable if we have to carry everybody in the county that wants it.
Right. Yeah.
And again, if there's anyone here who doesn't feel quite 100% sure yet, we're going to vote on the final version of this policy sometime this summer.
July, yeah.
Hopefully, sometime later this year. So this is just basically a vote we wanted to get on the record, that on the public record, that says the board basically supports the governance committee and
Going in this
pursuing,
direction,
going in this direction, supporting this line of reasoning as we rewrite the policy. Any other questions? Suzanne, you're on the board. You wanna make a motion? or on the subcommittee?
I make a motion that we adopt the language that Bob stated. And the finished product will be voted on in July.
Second?
I'll second it.
Wait,
Can I make
Anthony
a
seconds?
suggestion?
Sure.
That rather than say vote on the language, say vote on the intent behind the language or
Sure.
something like that, because we probably will tweak.
That, Suzanne?
Yes.
Did you get all that holiday?
Kind of, yeah. I can watch the video.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. All right, thanks to everybody. The government's committee will continue to work on that. We, just to update you all, we identified the policies we're going to work on, and in one case, I think even create. It's gonna be a new policy at our last meeting, and we will be, one of them is basically done. A bunch of them were knee deep in the process and hopefully on a schedule to get.
It's all the computer stuff. So our
Yeah.
social media policy, our internet, our AI policy, our use of internet by staff, use of internet by patrons, all of that stuff. It's all either out of
Plus-
date or non-existent.
So it's all that plus lending, plus the breakdown of director and board responsibilities.
Which is mostly done.
That one's done. We're just waiting to package them all together for you. Okay. And speaking of which, I know you sent me an email with not many dates on it where you're available, and I
Well-
wasn't available at all before this meeting,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have to find something,
Okay.
but yeah, we'll work something out. Okay, moving on to old business, library director evaluation. You all got it today. If you
Mhm.
haven't seen it, it should be in your email inbox. If it's not in your email box, please tell me and I will be happy to resend it. I thank everyone for going in and filling out the bubbles and leaving comments for Robin. Robin had perfect grades on her library director evaluation. I encourage you to read all the comments if you haven't, because there's still some, notable advice and things you may want to think about in there, but
It's just
obviously,
like the
obviously,
library-
we are very pleased with
Thank you.
what you've done this year.
It's just like the library of the year thing, though. It's all downhill from here.
After the feedback I received last year and sort of that policy we tweaked, I think last year, Robin got a copy, the full board got a copy, and I sent one to Keith. with the municipality. So, said if you don't. have one,
I
let me know.
appreciate the kind comments.
Again, I'm entering my lame duck season, my lame duck year starting today, so expect to see lots of ball hats at these meetings. Depending on when my last month ends up being, I may end up turning responsibility for next year's evaluation over to somebody else, but we'll
Your
talk.
last meeting will be March.
Yeah, in which case I'm probably not doing the director evaluation next year, but we'll talk about that when the time
Get
comes.
ready, Anthony.
Bob, are you gonna lead some sort of insurrection and like stay on or something?
No, Pete's the one over here making whispers about booze and.
I know,
Let the minutes reflect. No.
I'm, Robin knows she can call me in 3 years. Leave me alone before that.
I'm sure they'll find something else for you to do.
Yeah. But again,
Subtle,
seriously,
isn't he?
thank you for everybody for filling that out, and taking the time to turn in the comments. New business, we've got National Library Week proclamation on here.
Yes, so I was really early on this year. I was looking for it, and as soon as I got the template, I sent it over to the commission, so they signed it like, I don't know. So,
I couldn't tell you which meeting, I
Yes.
can't remember.
the
Sorry.
template is a Word document that every library can adapt for their own uses, so I added in a couple of things about our book sanctuary and about Library of the Year. So it's very nice, and every year I give you all a copy so that you have it as well. So there it is, feel free to share it, if you like that kind of thing on social media or whatever you wanna do.
Lovely thing.
Find Your Joy, Michael Threets, who was at the 2024 Pennsylvania Library Association Conference. He is the official librarian in residence of PBS and the new star of Reading Rainbow. Lovely young man.
He's wonderful.
Yes.
All right, does anyone else have any business to present while this meeting is in session? If not, then we shall adjourn, and you may stop recording, Robin. But if everybody wants to stick around, we will do our advocacy